Hi everyone, my name is Enrique and welcome to another review. Now, if you recall in 2020, I started this channel by reviewing some stuff, and one of my earliest reviews was on The Mandalorian Season 1. I review every single episode of The Mandalorian, and I wanted to continue, but I never found a way to continue in a different way, or at the very least to improve it and talk about it when the show was still on air. Now, at the time of this recording, it has 3 seasons and a movie coming up. So, yeah, I cannot think of a better time to talk about it. And I wanted to do so before the movie of The Mandalorian Grogu comes out. And hopefully, my reviews can get in time. I don't think they're going to be on time because I want to nowadays flip-flop my reviews of other TV shows, and unfortunately I don't know when the release date is. I need to look it up, but hopefully I'll get in time. If not, then it's okay. I still love this show and I still love to talk about it even past time. Regardless of your opinions about The Mandalorian or Star Wars in general, which, let's be honest, it has been mixed up ever since I began my reviews. And even do so before that, because I started my channel when people were starting to hate Star Wars. I was coming on 2020, back when the Rise of Skywalker came out, and everybody had their opinions about the sequel trilogy made by Disney and Kathleen Kennedy. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about. On a side note, I'm going to talk about the Star Wars sequels later in December, since I feel it's honestly time for me to talk about a Star Wars property that is set on the main movies. And while I always gonna love Mandalorian, I cannot deny that yes, the Star Wars movies are always going to be the most popular ones. But hopefully, with the movie that he's going to come out to, hopefully something is going to be, shown to the big screen and hopefully be beloved by fans. Hopefully, I don't know. I mean, I'm a Star Wars fan, but more importantly, I'm a Mandalorian fan, and I gotta be honest, everybody can have their own opinions and not for the best. So I'm just hoping against the machine, but still. Regardless, it's time for me to talk about season 2 and all the episodes that came out. So let's talk about it. This is the episode that is picking up right where we left off, with Din Djarin, also known as the Mandalorian, continuing his quest to return the child, in this case Baby Yoda, to its rightful owner, or in this case, return it to a Jedi. But let's be honest, there are only a handful of Jedis, or even not that many, still in the galaxy. So this is going to take a lot of this season in order for him to find one. And even so, what's going to happen to him and the child after they found the Jedi? Well, we're going to answer those questions. But in the meantime, let's talk about the first episode that we see from season 2. And that is the episode called Episode 9, The Marshal. In this episode, Mando travels to Tatooine after hearing about another Mandalorian being spotted there. He ends up in a small town called Mos Pelgo, where he meets Cobb Vanth, a local marshal who's wearing Mandalorian armor, specifically Boba Fett's armor. However, Cobb is not a Mandalorian, so Din wants the armor back. Before any conflict breaks out, they agree to help each other to defeat a massive great dragon that is terrorizing the town. In the end, they work together, and with the help of the Tusken Raiders and some locals from Mos Pelgo, they manage to fight off the beast, but it's not an easy fight. So, right off the plot, we see that all the aspects of the Mandalorian are still intact. The man with no name or no face is still going around, traveling to places, interacting with other people, and finding ways to destroy or even slay creatures like the Great Dragon. And that is something that I really enjoy about this episode, and more so for the fan service that we got. Pedro Pascal as Din Djarin, aka Mando, still brings the level of depth and dedication to this character, even behind a helmet. I mean, this is a character that I just enjoy watching, whether it's in a movie or in a TV show. Well, not yet in a movie, but you get the idea. I love how Mando interacts with other people, including bad guys, because he's a man who is unfazed by fear, who doesn't let anybody to get under his skin, and that's something that I enjoy from this performance by Pedro Pascal. We don't see his face, but he emotes immensely behind that suit. And his interactions with the child, which is still known as Baby Yoda for some people, is still amazing. It's still that story of the lone wolf and the cub that I enjoy so much, and their interactions and actions say a lot to the characters. Speaking of the child, he's still adorable, cute, and still interacting in a cute way to a lot of the action that he sees and how he displays emotions. It might be a puppeteer and it's still a puppet, but it's a believable puppet. One that I could say that I could just grab and just hug. And a lot of people have done that, bought a lot of merchandise of the child and just had it in their homes. Hell, I have one, a miniature one in my home, and I still enjoyed it. I have Mando alongside Spider-Man and the Red Power Ranger alongside me, and with a child there, it's just a full display of my favorite characters sitting and just chilling, and that's something that I enjoy. It speaks about how much I enjoy these characters. Now let's talk about Timothy Olyphant as Cobb Vanth. For what I understand, this is a character that came from the comics. There were Star Wars comics where Cobb Vanth was there, or maybe he was there in novels. I cannot recall. But needless to say, Timothy Olyphant is doing a great job as this character. He's confident, charming, and a great addition to the Star Wars universe. It's not surprising that Timothy Olyphant is in here because his role in Justified as a sheriff gave him a lot of badass moments and a lot of confidence as an action person, and this one is no different. This is a man who not only is trying to protect his own little town of Mospelgo from any other bad guy or creature like the Great Dragon, but he's using every source available, like in this case in which he's using Boba Fett's armor. According to Cobb Vanth, he got it from the Jawas after some criminal band invaded Mospelgo, and by buying and using some crystal diamonds, he manages to use the Boba Fett armor to defend the town from all those criminals and soldiers. And it's honestly interesting to see someone who is not necessarily a Mandalorian still using the armor for good, and that's something that I really enjoyed. I don't know if it parallels Mando's journey, but in many respects it uses the Boba Fett armor a lot better than the original Boba Fett. And that's saying something. I don't make that statement lightly. I just express my opinion, and this one is mine. I believe that Cobb Vanth with the Mandalorian armor is a lot better than Boba Fett ever was. But don't misunderstand me. This is not a jab to the character. This is just my opinion, and it does not diminish the moment that we're going to see later on. I also want to give a quick shout out to the actor John Leguizamo, or John Leguizamo as I like to call it, because we see him in this episode playing one of the bad guy criminals, or at the very least one of the mob criminals that Mando is interacting at the beginning of this episode. His name is Gor Gurish, and he's basically a Cyclops in which he has a history with Mando, but it tries to screw him over, and that does not end well for him. And John Leguizamo's performance, even though it's a voice, is very entertaining. It gives a lot of dimensions to Mando and the kind of people he dealt with Even as a Mandalorian, he still has connections to the underworld, so that's something I like to see. And let's not forget about Amy Saradas, who brings a lot of humor and a lot of entertainment as Pelimoto. And I gotta say, she definitely has softened on Mando and the child ever since episode 5. I just love to see her and bring in a lot of laughs and a lot of skills and knowledge about Tatooine, which is something that I deeply appreciate. And that comes to one of my parts that I want to talk about, and that is the best parts, the parts that I like. One of the best parts about this episode in particular is the cinematic feel. It looks really like a Star Wars movie. It feels very action-packed and yet so dramatic and epic in their shots. The Krayt Dragon fight is very epic, and it's exciting to see Tatooine from a different perspective. One of the things that I enjoyed from episode 5 from season 1 was to see Mando interacting with the Tusken Raiders. We always saw them as just wild animals, almost like Indian-esque creatures who just attack by nature. But we later on discover, with the help of Mando, that they are intelligent creatures if you communicate with them in the right way, and more importantly, if you respect their culture and ideas, because they also have their own culture, and that's something that I want to see in Star Wars. We don't just want to see the same old, good guys versus bad guys. This is a universe that was tailor-made for a black and white world, but then evolved into something else. And the Tusken Raiders are a great example of that. They also have their own perspectives and ideas, and I like to think that they are also creatures who just feel like people are just being mean to them and they don't understand them. And something that I like about Mando is that he doesn't discriminate and he helps everyone, despite his nature of being just a loner. I also love how they show the continue of mixing Western and sci-fi themes. You know, it's still the same sci-fi alien creatures of the day, but it's still treated as like a Western, like the good, the bad, and the ugly, or Maverick, or any other Western that you have seen. And I love Westerns. I'm a huge fan of Westerns. And this is no different. And I like to see how the two genres are mixed up. The fight scene of Mando and Cobb Vanth against the Krayt Dragon is honestly some of my favorite performances and action sequences of all time. It is just something that I never expected to enjoy as much as many other. And that's something that goes along with the action that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau like to put in their own shows. They like to treat small things and trying to make them bigger as they used to, or trying to make it as epic as any Star Wars movie. And of course, Baby Yoda is still adorable, stealing every scene that he's in, and honestly, who can blame him? Who can fault him for that? It's just amazing. This is the season to which we're gonna get a lot of fan service and Easter eggs about all Star Wars media. And this episode starts right off the get-go by some nods to Star Wars fans, like the Boba Fett armor, the pod racer engine that is used as a speeder, which Cobb Vanth uses it in order to travel with Mando to the mountains, and even possible Boba Fett's appearance at the end of the episode. And a lot of people have a lot of questions. This is a great way to start the season and raise new questions, like how the hell did Boba Fett survive after being put into a pit where that creature, I can't remember, the Sarlacc pit, the Sarlacc pit where Boba Fett was chewed on, or at the very least being eaten on. How did he survive? How did he escape from the Sarlacc pit? How did he left the armor behind? I mean, this is the armor that I think his father used to wear when he was a Mandalorian, or at the very least a bounty hunter. And more than that, how the hell did he manage to stay alive, and if he somehow had a relationship with a character that we saw in other episodes. But we're gonna get to that eventually. But overall, the first episode of Season 2, The Marshal, is a fantastic season opener. It sets the tone for what's coming, delivers action and heart, and keeps us excited to see more of Mando and Baby Yoda's journey. So yeah, this is a great show and a great episode, and the best is yet to come. This is the season that I feel that things are going to improve and then things are going to get better and better the more we see of the episodes. Some people might feel that fan service is not necessary, but hey, this is Star Wars and you gotta give the people what they want. So that's my opinion. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I highly enjoyed this episode. And next time when I review Mando, let's see where his journey takes him to. So thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe to get notifications for my videos. And more importantly, if you have any thoughts about this episode or my reviews about it, let me know in the comment section below. So yeah, that's it for today. I'm Enrique, and I'll see you next time, guys. Peace.